Hi, Steve. I'm glad to have you with our program today.
Great, thanks. Happy to be here.
Yes, let me start with asking you about your view on the outlook of the equity market in the second half of this year. Are we entering the late cycle, or have we already entered this late cycle?
Yeah, we think we're kind of in between a mid to late cycle. Obviously, economic growth has moderated in recent months, but we do think there's a number of catalysts as we look at the remainder part of the year. Particularly with central banks, they're now kind of entering an easing cycle, helping to lower, hopefully, rates. Inflation remains low. And so I think they can provide some stimulus to hopefully get through this soft patch of economic growth and really extend the business cycle. If you add in the possibility of coming to a resolution with some of the trade tariffs and uncertainties between the U.S. and China, I think that can also provide an interesting catalyst to the group. So we're still constructive on the markets. I think we're still in a higher volatile period as growth is moderating, but I do think central banks around the world are very accommodative in their monetary policies. It can really help get us through this little soft patch. And then I think the later part of 2019 into 2020, the growth outlook still remains healthy.
But this market has been running bullish for the past 10 years, so it still has some more steam to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been one of the longest bull runs we've seen in the equity markets, but we have low growth, slightly lower growth, but it's still positive, and inflation remains low. And so I do think we can extend this cycle another couple of years with the right policies, and we feel like central banks are really stimulating to kind of get through that growth. I think some of the tariffs and uncertainties have actually proved somewhat deflationary, and so I think that's why they can lower rates and hopefully get back on track. And so while we're entering the later parts of the economic cycle, I do think growth is still good in most areas of the region. You've seen China take some very aggressive stimulus actions, and we're beginning to see signs of that economy starting to stabilize. We've had good growth in the U.S. It's moderating this year after some tax cuts last year that help. And I do think there is the chance for cyclical parts of the market to play catch up. Even though the markets have rebounded a lot in the last 6 months, we're basically back to where we were last fall, before the sell-off over higher rates and recession fears sold off in the fourth quarter.
So you're not so concerned about the global recession. Many people said that we might see it by the year 2020.
Yeah, we don't see any recession signs in the next 12 months, and I think with the central banks easing, that will prolong the growth cycle. I do think maybe in 18, 24 months we'll have to see how the growth is with the recent cuts, but we don't think there's a big recession, imminent recession on the horizon in the next year.